Have you avoided a conversation in your life, whether it's at work or with a family member or a friend, only to realize that it became much, much worse at a later point in time? The situation became worse, the conversation became worse, up to a point where maybe the relationship possibly had to be terminated, or there was an extended period or sourness that got in. Or have you seen that there are certain people in our organizations, in our families, who go through a period of challenge with someone, they don't speak up, and then at some point in time, they only realize that they're further getting suppressed, further getting challenged, and end up in a place where they completely break down? Dialogues are important. If we are experiencing emotion and pain in life, in any relationship, whether it's work, whether it's our friends, whether it's our family, it's important to dialogue. Dialogue is the only way to work through emotions and pain. And that's something that I want to talk to you today. But also at the end of this, and do watch this video all the way to the end, I'm also going to raise a very important subject at the end, which is a little beyond dialogues. So coming back to dialogues, so dialogues are the way to work through emotions and pain, but they are also a process where you will have to experience the emotion and pain that you need to work upon. So it's not easy. Dialogues are not going to be easy. But if you hold back dialogue, it's going to be a severe challenge at some point in time. So you need to make up your mind. Yes, you need to have the skills. Yes, you need to choose the time correctly to have the dialogue. Yes, you need to prepare yourself and the other person or people for that dialogue. Maybe you will need to get help to get that dialogue to happen, to anchor that dialogue, and which is where mediation sometimes really helps in dialogues. But remember, dialogue, and dialogue with intent, dialogue with clarity, and dialogue with accountability on your part and the other person's part, that's the only way that you can resolve situations. And the emotion and the pain that we are experiencing, they're not false. When we go through with life, we have expectations, we want certain things to be in certain ways. There's nothing wrong with expectations, but if you're prepared to pay the price, if you're working on them, and if the expectations are rational. So if our expectations are rational, they are real, they are decent, then they are good expectations to have. But despite having those, we may end up in challenges. And also with us and the other person, sometimes we have irrational expectations, irrational demands of the other person. And that also is what creates challenges in relationships. So remember, when you are at a point where you need to resolve emotions and pain, the mistake may not just be the other side. It may be you also. So both of you need to focus on all those mistakes that you're making. And that's where you need to be emotionally honest, but you also need to be emotionally intelligent. Honesty alone doesn't work. Like you walk up to somebody and say, hey, you did this, and I felt bad about this. That's emotional honesty. But emotional intelligence would be to ask yourselves this question: hey, why did I feel bad in the first place? Had I built an image of this person in a certain way? Had I expected certain things in a certain way from this person, and those expectations got challenged? Was that an expectation I had even communicated? Was that an expectation I had even heard from the other person that they will fulfill? Have they breached a commitment? You need to ask those questions. And that's where emotional intelligence starts. And if you are in a point of contact, or if you're at a point of conflict, you need to be able to choose the right words, choose the right presentation, and talk to the other person. That's the way dialogues need to progress. Here is what we need to remember. Many times we are avoiding dialogues because you're not seeking clarity in your relationships. You don't want to solve that situation. You'll be surprised when you hear, but this is what the truth is. Many times we don't want to solve the situation. What we want to do is either claim victory on the other person, or we want to claim victimhood on the other person. Victory, why? By saying, oh, you see, I am right, the other person is wrong. Or victimhood is what? Oh, you dealt such a bad blow on me. You did this to me. Because of you, I am like this. That's the game that most of us are playing. So I want you to get up and start taking notice of this. You are avoiding a conflict, or you are avoiding a conversation or a dialogue with somebody, but that's not the story. The story doesn't end there. You are relinquishing that control of the situation, and you are rejoicing in either claiming that victory over the other person and or victimhood, or at sometimes it's both of those. This needs to stop. You need to move forward. You need to not just be emotionally honest, you need to be emotionally intelligent. And here is what you do. You have to choose to express your emotions, your experience safely to the other person. You have to tell them, this is what I saw happen. This is what I experienced. And this is what the intent is. I want us to work on the relationship. I want us to work together. I want to be collaborative on this project. I want each of us to respect each other's ideas. So, depending on the context of family, friends, or work, choose your words carefully and express your emotions and seek a solution. And that's where you express the intent. Once you've done that, you also need to be very clear on how the process will work. So you have to have absolute clarity in your mind and express it to the other person. But you also have to listen to the other person with that sense of clarity and not be critical or judgmental. And once you've exchanged the intent with the other person, once you have exchanged the clarity with the other person, then you need to take accountability of your part of what will you do in that relationship. And then you have to have the other person take accountability, give you a commitment, and then work with the other person to ensure this thing comes through. That's the way to have a dialogue. Now, there are tools to do this. There are several websites, books which will help you do this. But remember three things that you will need. One, for sure, you will need that absolute clarity of what is the situation and gain more clarity from the other person and work towards a solution. So you will need problem solving skill, thinking and problem solving skills. But the other thing that you will also need is a good, clear language of how you will work through this. And that's where I said it's not just emotional honesty, but it's emotional intelligence that you need to work with. And then fix clear indicative targets to work with that clarity. And lastly, what you may need is mediation and support from someone outside of your relationship, so that an untenable situation can be turned into a more tenable situation. So the deeper wisdom in this situation that you have to understand is that silence only deepens wounds, and silence also glorifies the situation to a certain extent, where you and the other person may both lose influence on something. So when something is still solvable, handle it before the situation gets so glorified that it just explodes and everything goes out of control. Pain is not the state to be in. Emotions are not the state to be in. Choose your words carefully. Turn your pain and emotions into power, power of understanding, power of working with the other person, power of learning and creating new solutions. None of us have seen our whole life. We see new days every day. None of us have seen the truth of all our relationships. We will see new shades of our relationships every day. Work through it. That's the positive aspect of us that we need to bring to our life. Dialogues. Hope you focus on this. And right at the beginning, I had also promised you that other than dialogues, I'm going to focus on one more thing. So I will end the concept of dialogues here. Hope you work with what I have shared with you. But here's something that you need to also remember. Many times we are at a point of pain and emotions in our life because we are at the receiving end. Our capability, our power in a relationship may be very low. This could happen in the family, and again happen with friends, again happen at work, that we don't have the right capability, the right capacity, the right standing, the right background, the right skill sets, the right thinking process, the right personality, the right approach, etc. And we are at a receiving end. Yeah, options. Let me not leave options out. We also don't have too many options. Many of us have put all our eggs in the same basket. So we are relying too heavily on one relationship. We are relying too heavily on one aspect of our career. We are relying too heavily on certain friends or certain situations. And when that happens, all hell can break loose, then dialogues are not going to help you. This is the other aspect that I wanted to talk to you about. So, even while, even while you master dialogues, even while you work with dialogues, I want you to honestly assess the quality of your own capability, the quality of options that you have in life, the quality of skill sets, of the standing that you have in life. If you don't have the right capability, you will be in a situation where somebody will victimize you sooner or later. Remember that thing. The second thing that I want to leave with you is you also should not be victimizing other people who are weaker in standing as compared to where you are in your life. So, also in life, along with having capability, be kind, treat others well, treat them so well that they don't have a need to have a confrontative or a constructive conversation with you to get you to listen and resolve things to them. So, besides mastering dialogues, I want to leave these two things. Please work on your capability and please work on your own kindness and the way you treat others. Have a great life. Work on your life so that it becomes great. Remember what I told you? None of us have seen our whole life. We have to work on it every day. None of us have seen the truth of all our relationships. You have to work on it. So don't sit and seek victory or victimhood over other people. What we need to do is coexist in harmony and compassion with others, not be victors and suppressors, and not be victims and prey to others. Take care of yourself.